left me a comment on one of my YouTube videos and asked me to do an explanation of all the crypto terms, like an intro to crypto terms, basically. I thought that was a really great idea, specifically because I really planned on doing something like a playlist for really basic intro to crypto stuff. Like my last ETH video was a little bit more on the simpler side, and I think that making, you know, different groups or different sections for stuff like that will be more interesting. So because of that, today I wanted to do a video on terms. I very well may end up doing another one, a little bit more advanced stuff, but I know that I feel like people's eyes might glaze over or get tired of listening to me ranting and raving about whatever it might be. So I'm going to do entry-level ones, which is today, and then maybe I'll do something a little bit more advanced later on. So let's get started. Altcoins. Altcoins is something that you're going to hear a lot, you're going to see everywhere. And the problem with a lot of these terms is it really depends on who you talk to, specifically this one. So the Bitcoin purists think that anything outside of Bitcoin is an altcoin, whereas there's other people that think that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin are major coins, and then everything else after that is an altcoin. I should mention that altcoin stands for alternative coin. FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This can kind of be used for just about any coin. It's basically, a quick term for when you're starting to lose faith or starting to lose confidence in a project you invested in or development team or whatever else it may be. Panic selling. So this is when you'll see a huge drop in price, really sometimes for no actual reason or maybe just really bad news. But people will talk about everybody panic selling, and then what happens is people continue to panic sell because others are panic selling, and it creates like this cascade effect. FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. So FOMO is, again, could be related to a lot of things, but in particular what I think of is you see a significant increase in price and you're, having a fear of missing out on profit, so you jump in on a position that's probably not the best because you kind of are just going in on the fact that everybody else is going in and you're assuming it's going to go higher. Sometimes that pays off, sometimes that doesn't. Chasing the candle. So this goes hand in hand with FOMO. I actually just learned about this one recently from someone on my Telegram channel, so thanks. And it's when you're watching the charts, it's something on like TradingView, and you see a big green candle. And when you see the candle, you assume, again, the price is going to go higher. And so you keep trying to jump in on a position or get in or buy because you're fear of missing out that you're not going to get in and get profits. Buying the top. Buying the top means you FOMO'd and you chased the candle, and you bought the top of the price or the all-time high, that local all-time high or whatever it might be, and the price plummeted right after that. I've done that a few times. It is not a good feeling. Pump. A pump is usually just a significant increase in price. There's really no duration, but generally if it's over a really short period of time, you'll hear people kind of going frantic about it, and you'll see it in all kinds of chat rooms. Dump. Complete opposite. Similar to panic selling, you see people panic sell and it creates a dump, basically a very significant decrease in price. This is usually over a very short period of time because it really freaks people out, and you'll notice that when there's a very fast decline like that, everybody's talking about it. Being in the red or being in the green. Basically, being in profit or being in loss. Kind of simple, think of like red light, green light, the game you used to play as a kid. HODL, spelled HODL. This is a term that you'll see everywhere, and this took me a while to figure out. I thought everybody was just kind of illiterate, but I was wrong. The Bitcoin Talk forum had a thread that was active in like December of 2013, and it was a guy who had been drinking and went on a rant about how Bitcoin's price was falling, but here are all the reasons why I'm not selling, and in fact I'm going to hold. And instead of spelling hold properly, he spelled it improperly because he'd been drinking, and so it just kind of took on a life of its own, and so now you see it everywhere. Fiat, that's Latin for let it be done. This one threw me through a loop too because obviously I assumed that they weren't talking about the car. So, for a while there I didn't Google it, which was silly of me, but I just didn't. And when I did, I was happy that I was able to put that concern to rest. It basically means a value given to something by a government. So currency that has value that's not intrinsic, that's just dictated by the government that embodies it. Moon, if you haven't heard this one, you've been living under a rock. This just means that the coin or whatever you're investing in is going to have such significant gains that you're riding a rocket to the moon. It's going to go so high, it's going to touch the moon. Satoshi Nakamoto. So this one's another one that I actually learned really quickly because I listened to an audiobook about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies like a year ago. And so I got the whole backstory, which really helped. I suggest doing some research on the history of how cryptocurrency started and Bitcoin as a whole, because it will definitely clear up some questions that you have. But anyways, Satoshi Nakamoto was the creator of Bitcoin. They haven't figured out who he is. Nobody knows. They actually assume from the book that I was reading, he wasn't of Asian descent. In fact, I think they thought he was British because of the way he wrote and that his name was just a misnomer. People think that he might be a group of really skilled individuals, or he might be just one person. Nobody knows. The only thing we are certain of is that he has a lot of Bitcoin. Shilling or to shill. So when I first got into crypto, shill was used in a much more negative light. If you were shilling something, you were pitching somebody a scam, or you were trying to get somebody to sign up or do something that was really going to benefit you but not them. Now shill is more of just promoting something. It doesn't necessarily need to be something that's negative for the other person or something that you're really going to gain a lot out of. Whale. Whale is a term that means someone with a very large financial backing that's going to make a splash in the market. That's all relative too, though, obviously, because if you're dealing with a small coin with a small market cap that's very inexpensive, a whale could be someone with, a couple $1,000s, whereas in something like Bitcoin, in order to make a splash, you have to have a significant financial backing. Bag holding, my all-time favorite because I always seem to be bag holding. Bag holding is when you buy something, usually too high, and the price drops, so you're left holding the bag. Basically, hanging on to the coin that you initially purchased in hopes that the price will return to its previous price, and you can either unload the bags, or just make some sort of profit off it. REKT, spelt R-E-K-T, meaning getting absolutely demolished on an investment and losing your shirt entirely. You'll see that a lot. People use it obviously as an exaggeration. I got wrecked on that coin when they didn't really, but a lot of times it just means like a very significant loss. The dip, or buying the dip. This means buying something when the price drops significantly lower than it has been for a while, in hopes that it's going to bounce right back up and you kind of bought that moment that you capitalized on a cheap coin. Sometimes, though, what you think is the dip is actually just a very serious decline or a dump, and you'll end up wrecked. On sale, similar to buying the dip, picking up a coin, crypto that is cheaper than usual, in hopes again that it's going to go up or back to where it was. Sometimes it doesn't do that, like Ripple, which always seems to burn people, but we still keep doing it. Shitcoin, basically any cryptocurrency that essentially becomes worthless over time. Vaporware can be used interchangeably with shitcoin. Essentially a project or development group that had a little bit overreaching expectations and maybe weren't able to come through with what they promised, but they had good intentions going into it. They're not necessarily a shitcoin because sometimes shitcoins have the intention of messing up people and not being very honest. Cold storage. This one I learned, I actually had the definitions wrong for the next two. Cold storage is essentially any wallet holding your cryptocurrency that is not your main active wallet. So whether it be a hard wallet like a Trezor or a Ledger, or a paper wallet, but it's just something that's storing your crypto on it long term that you don't touch frequently. A hard wallet is something that was built specifically for the storage of cryptos. So again, like I mentioned, Ledger, Trezor, those are hard wallets and they're very, very popular. Paper wallet. That is storing your public and private keys somewhere on a piece of paper that's never been active or online, so there's no reason for security issues. Feeling bullish or bearish, this is popular too. Bullish is when the market is, like a bull, running like a bull, very, very strong. You assume that you're optimistic, that things are going to be good, and that you're going to make money. Bearish is the opposite, slow, hibernating, so on and so forth. That's if the market's falling apart and, you're in the red, so to speak, and you kind of assume that the market's going to continue that way. Mt. Gox, or if anybody takes a current exchange name and makes it sound something like Mt. Gox, like Bitfingox. This was an exchange that was in Japan originally. It was launched in 2010, and by 2013, I think, it was handling more than 70% of Bitcoin transactions worldwide. In February 2014, Mt. Gox filed for bankruptcy, and an estimated 850,000 Bitcoins went missing or were lost or stolen. At that time, that was an amount that was approximately $450 million. So the reason that the crypto community that you'll hear are so adamant about not keeping any of their crypto coins on any exchanges or any wallets that aren't safe is because of the Mt. Gox incident. A lot of people lost a significant amount of money, obviously. And so because we're in a new stage with all of this, and this is a very young market and young culture, it's concerning when there's a lot of security issues. So people are a little overzealous, but I get it. I mean, I have most of my Bitcoin and my Ethereum on a hard wallet. I have a Ledger Nano S, so that's where I keep most of my stuff. So I get the idea. These were some of the ones that I came up with off the top of my head with a little help from my Telegram. I think that as far as entry-level things that you're going to hear immediately if you go into a Slack or chat room, those are definitely the top. I do want to make a second video, like I mentioned, but it's going to be a little bit denser, so I just figured I would lay the groundwork here and then, you know, carry on with the second one. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I will put all of my links in the description for my social media, my Telegram, and stuff like that. Someone had mentioned to me that they felt discriminated that I only had an ETH donation address, so there's a bunch of donation crypto addresses there now too. So that's there. I also signed up for the Brave browser that syncs with YouTube or whatever, which is pretty cool. So that's working. Again, if you guys ever have any questions, you just want to chat, hop in my Telegram. We've got a pretty good group of people in there now hanging out. So we'd always love some more company.